Welcome, my friends, to this live showdown between the Vampire Coast, who shall be led by Luther Harkin. And today, guys, we face off against Alpha Omega, who's going to be leading the forces of the Empire. So certainly, it's hard not to root for him in this stage because, of course, it's always fun to root for the Sons of Sigmar. But nonetheless, the Coast is going to be trying to take it to the Empire. Now, as far as the build goes, we have Luther Harkin up in the sky, and he should be on his Terror Goose. Even though it's kind of like blacked out here, he is actually on the Goose. And of course, the Goose is pretty good at fighting the Lords up in the sky. So if they have Franz, they have Boris. He can go fisticuffs, he can kite, he can snipe casters. He brings a lot to the battlefield. And also, one of the sad realities of this matchup is oftentimes the Empire will just spam like a million Huntsmen against you. And the Huntsmen can basically just outrange your guns. And you have to juke with Luther and just waste their ammo. So he's a pretty good choice for that. And that's why you don't really see things like Noctilus and whatnot. We got a Vampire Caster for, the basics. Front line of Deccan mobs, couple halberds in the back to protect the mortars. Lamprey's Revenge to deal with Empire Cav and just a roadblock so their mass can't just bully us. And last but not least, we have 3 Scurvy Dogs and a Fellbat. So those are really important elements of the army. If the Empire does go with like a Greatsword and a rush build like that, usually the Crabs and Luther can deal with them with the deck droppers. But the biggest issue in this matchup for the Vampire Coast, hands down, is dealing with the dreaded Huntsman spam. So just dealing with like a ton of those archers, and especially like they just get to close the distance so quick. That's also why we have 2 mortars. The mortars, give you incremental pressure and they're cheap. So even if they get compromised by the Empire and the Huntsmen are able to get in range, it's not like you're losing like, Bess or Carronades or things like that. They cost like 200 less, I think. So we'll see how it does. We're on Herat Ridge. And Luther's got his, he's got his work cut out for him. We're going to try and snipe casters, slow down the advance of the Empire and use the deck droppers as a countermeasure against Empire Cav. So they basically are just sitting and shooting Empire Knights and other tools like that over the course of the game. So let's get our Zombie Nation over here. And obviously, sometimes there are times to box and go really tight. But in this case, I think going a little bit wider for battlefield control and just occupying more space is a little bit better. So we'll put a mortar here and a mortar here. Although we should probably be further back in case he does a mass Vanguard. Because if he's right here, we want to make him work for it. Granted, that is a very, very ballsy play to say the least. So we'll have halberds back here kind of defending these guys. They're just going to be kind of sitting there on guard duty. Put the deckhand mobs in 5, Luther in 1, since he's a high priority to micro here. Get our caster in 5 as well, because she can just kind of run with the main blob, although we'll put her a little bit further back. Like so. Lock that group. And now we do the dogs. So the dogs are the most important thing. So 2... it's going to be here. We need to just be so like rabid and obnoxious with our dog micro to win this matchup typically. Of course, it depends on the player you're playing against and what they're good at. But typically you need to do that. So let's go ahead and get the deckhand mobs in 5. They're going to be going after like Empire Knights and tools like that. And we have the Krabby Patties. We could just put them in like group 7 or something. They can just sit back here. Mortars can be 8. I'm starting to get to the point where I can't reach the hotkeys anymore. And Luther can fly around with the Fellbats. They can just have like a little like goon squad that they're doing. But yeah, being able to bounce about and like do the dog micro really quick is super important. So I think we're good. My opponent said something. He says, good luck, have fun. Cheers, man. Let's see how this goes. See, I'm doing a couple live casts today. I just had that epic game with Flying Taco, you guys. I don't know if it'll go up before or after this one, but you guys will see it. And is he ready? You too. All right, let's do it. So the first thing we want to get is the mortars. So the mortars need to start shooting. So he does have, it looks to be like an archer-centric build. So we'll lock this group, move it up to get more buffering between that. And now the doggos need to descend. We'll leave this guy in the brush for now. Oh, hello. Hello, Pistoliers. Okay, so we can really hide back there, and then we'll get these dogs going over here. Luther and the bats can come, and we can get these bat boys running over there as well. Now, it looks like more pressure is coming from this side. Granted, he might have Death Jacks, the ROR archers, kind of hiding somewhere, so we have to be pretty cognizant of that. But we 100% want to shoot. These are just standard archers. Okay, so they're not like a high-priority target like the Huntsman. Cool, so these dogs are doing their thing here. We can kind of tease the front line engagement a little bit. Luther and company can come over here, and these dogs can just really be patient, just wait for a good engagement. Group 5, we want to pull them up and start shooting at the Pistoliers because we do outrange them. Luther can kind of do his thing as well. We'll send some zombies for buffering and send some Fellbats for buffering as well. And you'll see that my guys should be able to outrange them. So if they're shooting, for example, against the Fellbats, I'm more than okay with that. So now mortars can start shooting. We'll just get the mortars going after the state troops for now. We need to get the halberds moving up as well to make sure they stick with those targets. And now the dogs are just kind of, foaming at the mouth and waiting on the flanks here. He does have some Empire Knights, so we need to be a little bit careful with that. We'll push these guys around the back here. And the deck droppers are doing a good job going after them, but I unfortunately made the mistake of letting them get in range. So a little bit of sloppy micro, but the main thing is like as long as we don't lose the actual model. So we're going to try and take an angle of pursuit to head those guys off. These doggos, we could just use as like a distraction, so we're going to weave through the seam here. We'll basically be sacrificing one of the doggos, and these guys can just come back into the Shadow Realm here. Great, so those Pistoliers are pretty much cornered now, so we can go 5 here, attack here, and send the Fellbats after these guys as well. And Luther can basically just pull back to help out in the mainline fight. So we were able to squeak through here, so let's go ahead and jump in here. These doggos somehow got caught. So let's go ahead and pull you guys back like this, you guys like that. And great. So we've done some okay damage. Pistoliers have definitely taken some work. We can surge into the Huntsman back there. And let's take these Felbats and see if we can chase them off. So we need help against the monstrous units. And you can see we jumped on those guys. So now we just need to kind of bounce back and forth and go after them. Mortars, we want to make sure they're shooting at Huntsman. That's like a priority target for sure. And we want to, get the boys back here. All right, so everything's protected. Crabs are going to be protecting as well. We do have some guys coming in to fight in the front. We're going to pull these doggies back. And Felbats should be able to chase them off. Pull those dogs to try and do a bit of a distraction play. And we can start shooting at Toddy. So we'll taunt Toddy. And we can go try and fight him a little bit. I'm okay with that. And the deck droppers need to just kind of play a defensive backline game. We'll keep these dogs in the tree line here and just kind of keep playing that patient game. So those guys are chased off, those Pistoliers, which is great. And now it looks like these Pistoliers are veering away from their support. So we're going to fight Toddy. We should be able to win that fight. It's a good one for us. And this group here, we need to go after the Knights of the Blazing Sun. And the Mortars are not shooting at good targets anymore. They're actually scooting up, so we need to make sure they're being optimal here. We'll drop some summons to halt the advance of the Empire. And Toddy just keeps taking pounding. We shoot the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and if they get back here, we then use those guys to kind of shut them down. So the dogs have done good, getting into the Huntsman like we kind of wanted. Unfortunately, that one group of Pistoliers might actually live over there. So now we need to be careful. We're in the danger zone here. We need to make sure we don't run and kind of overcommit with Luther. Send some zombies right here. Send the caster as well. Go ahead and use a taunt. Make those swordsmen into potentially a losing fight. And yeah, just kind of pull back, and you can see how it is. It's kind of like a very defensive game, right? You got to like be making sure not to overextend with a lot of different things. I mean, the dogs, of course, become a sacrifice at some point. It's inevitable. So those are archers. We don't want to be shooting them. The huntsmen are the big threats. Huntsman and huntsman. Great. And the damage adds up over time. All right, great. So we'll keep shooting there. Ammunition, we need to make sure these guys are only firing when we tell them to, because they're literally just dedicated to dealing with like cav units and things like that. So we'll pull Luther back. He's not needed over there. We're going to need him over here probably. So we'll send forward some of these guys. And a couple of the units have broken. Balance is pretty even at this point. So let's get the deck droppers. Shoot here if we can. And the crabs can just kind of be in position to kind of wait for them. And we'll pull you guys back. And now we have some scurvy dogs who are kind of waiting in the wings. So we'll pounce out with the ones who are being very, very patient with here. Pull back these zombies. Not going to matter too much though. It's probably going to be too late for that. And now we can go ahead and drop summon here. And Luther, actually, I think we see some fresh fish that we could maybe pound out here. Let's keep shooting those Knights of the Blazing Sun if we can. Mortars are still shooting. We'll pull the crabs back into a defensive posture here. And I see this caster, so we're going to go ahead and get a breath attack on him as well if we can. See if we can just get like a cheap goon attempt here. And are we going to get it? We're shooting Knights of the Blazing Sun. The crabs are going to be in line to intercept here. Looks like he might be trying to come in here. Send some halberds to go deal with them. And Luther is not able to get the caster, but the caster is actually overextended away from his help, so we're going to go over there. And some of the doggos were able to get onto the archers here, so we're going to jump onto this next group now if we can. And it looks like Luther was able to snipe that guy successfully. So pull back here, get the halberds on top of them, just make sure there's no freebies. And the deck droppers need to keep shooting as well. This guy's playing really well for sure. And Luther was able to get the gooning, so now we're going to use taunt to make sure Toddy can't catch us, and we're going to run away. Kind of reset everything. Our caster is very, very overextended, so we need to drop some summons right there. Unfortunately, she gets knocked over. We'll slow him down with that as well. Drop some summons there, which are going to be super crucial to get. And great. So mortars need to keep shooting, and you can see it takes a long time to actually like hurt these guys because they're in loose formations here. And the crabs were able to secure that position. Now we have our deck droppers here. And what do we do now? I think we just chase Toddy with Luther. I think he can bully him. And as far as like other shots go, we can start shooting at some of the archers here on the ground. We can actually send the crabs into the main line now, just to like kind of have try and have an overwhelming critical mass. As far as heals go, we could probably get the bats over the top here. So we're going to get the bats over the top. Luther's going to chase them down if we can. We'll see how that fighting goes, and we'll get you surging into them. And now we're going to go ahead and drop a fat invo right here to hit all of the deck droppers and hopefully resurrect some models. So we can shoot Toddy in the back with these. I think Luther is going to be in a good position. Taunt is on cooldown, so we don't have anything too crazy there. Let's keep surging through here. Backline is totally protected. Come on, buddy. Come on, Luther. We have the deck droppers lending firepower to the back of Boris, so that should be enough to kind of equalize the equation. We have some summons here. Let's go ahead and drop those there. Seems like she's having problems. Come on. There you go. Mortars are still going. Luther is winning the fight with the support of the deck droppers, of course. They have good AP for sure. And you can't really run from Luther is the thing. He's very, very good at, he's good at what he does. So that's like what he played really well. And he brought like a classic, that was like a good meta build against, Coast, right? You use the, it looks like here we should be fine. Mortars are still going strong. And that should be a shattering soon. GG. Well played, man. So yeah, that's like a very classic, like Huntsman with archers and then like heavy cav units like Empire Knights and Knights of the Blazing Sun to stop the scurvy dogs. But it's a dicey matchup for sure. You got to be like really on your toes with everything. Both sides do, right? But I was having trouble with that for a while. But I think this build that we have here is a solid anchor piece against it. So we just need to finish off the Sigmar Suns now. Charge in there. Take it easy, dude. Keep up the great content. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. Was a close one. It was actually pretty damn close. There was a couple times where I was really backed up. Mortars, as far as kills go, 71-35. The deck droppers are really important, though. They peel off the Empire Knights. But again, they get taken out by archers. So you need to really like saturate your front line quite a bit. And here, the last of the Sigmar Suns are falling. I can't believe how hard Pippi hits. So that's pretty funny. So basically, I call Luther Harkin Pippi because he has these like long stocking haircut. Dude, he does. It's his pistol. Can't type. My hands are just like all shitty today. So basically, the reason why Luther is like a beast in melee is not only because of his goose and his combat stats, but he shoots his pistol at the same time. So while you're fighting Luther and taking melee attacks, you're also getting shot by his pistol for like 400 plus armor piercing weapon strength. So that's what makes him such a good duelist. Plus, he also has the Hornswoggle, which is insanely powerful. And you know, Luther can easily defeat Toddy in like a straight up fight. I mean, even if Toddy starts to win, you can kite him and shoot him, and like it's hard. Granted, you know, the Fire Mage did its thing. I mean, his build is really good. I really like this guy's build. I think it's good. Maybe cut one regular archer. I'm trying to think what could he have done differently? Like, what were the misplays? Maybe being more conservative with the Pistoliers. Like, you keep the Pistoliers back, like behind your lines, and then you push up with the Huntsman, which then screens out my deck droppers, and then you'll have the Pistoliers for the rest of the game. But aside from that, it really just comes down to micro stuff, like microcosm, you know, kind of like Scurvy Dogs getting good engagements and things like that. He did a good job, though. Like, the Scurvy Dogs didn't run rampant by any stretch. He shut them down with the Knights, and yeah, it was fierce. Swordsman, that's all you really need. I actually like mixing in a couple Flagellants here and there because they're unbreakable and they push through pretty fast. So Toddy's a good choice. Fireball casting is always good. I mean, Burning Skull roasts my troops, and Fireball is great against my lords and like characters and things like that. Deathjacks are okay, but like people are usually privy to that. Like, I had ample scouting back there, so I could have probably found them. I love the Knights of the Blazing Sun pick. They're always awesome. You can even get away with Empire Knights too, though. Like, you just cut them and get Empire Knights, and then that allows you to get even more stuff, which is pretty overwhelming for the coast. But yeah, it was really well played. I mean, his build was good, and really it was just it was a tight game. So well played to Alpha Omega. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Vampire Coast vs Empire showdown, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.